We'll be ready to go soon. Again, we're not doing it again. Welcome. It's Monday. I'm sorry. So we're lucky to have Michelle in the studio with us. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
You surprised me this morning because I got this little notification. That is a great little tool that I did not know existed within Maps to let someone know that you're actually on your way.
Yeah. I tend to run late. So yeah.
That my life runs late. We're here. It's fine. And there's no shortage of work to ever do on a Monday. So you never have to stress about being on time on a Monday.
All right, good.
But I like that tool because that takes out excuses for people that says they're on their way. I'm 5 minutes away. Are you? Share your location with me, liar.
Exactly. It's
Especially
accountability.
For my teens. Yes, yeah, I need that.
Perfect. Yes.
Mind blown this morning. So you and I got to talking. Hi, welcome into your Monday. I hope you're doing well in your neck of the woods, whatever it is that you've got going on today. And I thought it would be a great idea to have you on Monday. I know Mondays are tough for a lot of people to get going. All right, we're transitioning, especially yesterday when it was rainy and cozy. And I think people were doing a lot of in their house stuff yesterday.
And if football's on. I know.
Is that
just
no one's
that.
even watching that anymore anyway, so it doesn't even matter.
Exactly.
And it was like one of those tough mind spaces yesterday for me. I had to go to a friend of mine's mom's wake, and it was just a really, I feel like rainy days. I had like 3 cries yesterday. It's just like, why am I like this right now?
Yeah, it's the pre-holiday, like, and then things throw you for a loop, like wakes, funerals, that kind of.
And then just like everyone's in general merriment mode or shopping. This week is Hanukkah. We're full into the holiday season of just everything all at once. And I was just really excited to have this conversation with you on a Monday in this season, because you have been on this quest, I feel like, your whole life for like the whole thing, right? The wellness, all of it. And I myself, about 6 weeks ago, started making some small incremental changes to a better me in 2024. And I figured this would be a great conversation. Like, let's jump in and talk about all the things: yoga, nutrition, wellness, just
stuff.
Yeah, all of it. Because
all the stuff.
You are that way too. Like you, whatever wellness, and give it to me. So maybe talk about your journey a little bit, where you started and how you're here.
Wow. Okay. So how I'm here on the Cape, I was a teacher. I was a health and wellness teacher. So I came here in 2012. And I spent a year teaching middle school, which I love. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, bring me the kids, bring me the teens. Not everyone's like that. I love the teens. And then I had an opportunity to open a yoga studio, which happens to be at Mashpee Commons. And then I decided not to go back to school. So for 10 years, I've been doing that.
Innerglow yoga, by the way, in the Mashpee Commons.
Yoga, yes, Mashpee Commons. Been there for 10 years. I'm in a second location at the Commons. So I'm now studying to be a therapist, because all the tools of yoga can only go so far. And something I learned that hit me was that only 3% of the population can afford out-of-pocket care. So
major problem right now.
Major problem. So I have some friends who will not be, they're all out-of-pocket therapists because they don't want to deal with insurance.
That seems to be
I don't care. Bring it on. Like, if we have to get paid through insurance, we get paid. It opens it up to more people, because that's what we do as healers. So,
it seems to be the way that wellness is going, because it's just not everything is covered.
Not everything's covered. So I don't want to get into that whole conversation
today, that's a can of worms.
Not that fun. But yeah, on a Monday, it's way too much to think about this. at 8
Just
o'clock.
for everything.
Yeah,
Gosh.
seriously. But things are evolving. Like over the years, there's been, reimbursement for yoga. There's reimbursement for chiropractic care and
Mhm.
acupuncture and all those things. So it's slowly evolving, but it takes so long, as we all know, to get anything passed or done
Right.
or approved. So there's a lot of nonprofits that do that and do that
Mhm.
care. One of those is, we'll talk about later within Love Yoga Fest, is one of the things that the missions is to support organizations that do help the community in wellness. So, so I started, became vegetarian in college years ago. And
Was that because of your studies or what was it?
no, it something triggered me. We had to do a persuasion speech.
Okay.
And mine was, I'm going to persuade people to stop eating meat.
And then you persuaded yourself
I
right on
persuaded
out
myself.
of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it just became this natural way how I ate. And every so often through the years, I went to culinary school after college and spent years working in restaurants and that kind of thing. And the first day I walked in with all my knives and I got a job cooking in Boston. So I walk in with my whites and my knife. I'm all like proud.
She's ready.
I'm like ready. And the chef said, "Try this duck." And I'm like,
Oh, God.
okay, sure. And I was like, and so birds freak me out a little bit. That might be another show, but birds kind of freak me out. And I'm like, I'm eating a duck. Oh, so yeah. So okay, yeah, no.
You're not the only one.
Yeah.
My daughter also has this bizarre bird
It's
phobia.
a few,
And I didn't really realize it until we went to one of those interactive zoo things. And she's like,
She's,
left there
hiding.
screaming.
And it wasn't the
was like,
birds, the
"Oh,
movie.
ooh, sorry."
Yeah. It wasn't the movie, The Birds. It wasn't anything like that. It was just they freak me out. It's like the circling hawks, after you.
So
Yeah.
we're not eating the birds.
We're
So
not eating the birds. So
somewhere in that college exploration, you decided no
Yeah.
longer going to eat meat, and it wasn't for anything other than you talked yourself out of it, which
basically,
I love.
yeah. And then I just got used to it. So I started running in college. I'm not a fast runner. We were just talking about rock. I was a support runner for
That's it.
rock. It was amazing.
I was in the
That's all I
military,
can do.
right, left, and I will get there eventually.
Yeah,
It's not a
right.
speed competition, but I won't stop. That's
the
how I
key.
roll. That's my speed.
I love it. Yeah. That's basically it. Yeah. So that's everything started about all my interests were always in there. And it wasn't until I was a business owner that I started sparking that business owner brain.
That's a terrible brain for a Capricorn, which we both found out. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. We're grounded and we like peace and calm, and then accounting brain. It's like numbers and just all that
Yep.
stuff.
Got to do it all.
And for some reason I triggered that in my brain. So now I'm like, can do it all in my head. It's great. Not always.
It's
not the big numbers,
stressful,
but
though. I like
yeah.
talking to other female entrepreneurs because we have a whole nother set, I feel like, of issues, but strengths in our toolbox as being female. I feel like it's just a little bit harder for us to be entrepreneurs because it is sometimes difficult to make these decisions.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And especially if you have employees.
Which one of your avenues are we going to grow right now? So I mean, you're growing through all of these wellness spaces.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I've done,
when that entrepreneur brain turned on, then what happened?
Yeah, turned on, flash forward from college, graduated in 90. I went to graduate school to become a teacher and then eventually taught family and consumer science. I taught health, wellness. I taught yoga in the phys ed department, my hometown of Framingham. Yay. And then Framingham North is where I went.
Oh, okay.
Just in case anyone's curious.
I love it.
But yeah.
The distinction.
Is very much a distinction. It's all one school now, but it's in the North building. So we like that. And then I moved here. So when I opened the studio in 2013, it was through a collaborative effort from my friends had a studio and we decided to do a pop-up.
Mm-hmm.
And their studio is in Dedham. So we did a pop-up. And then at the end of the summer, I said, there's something here. Like I felt it. And I didn't know that. I never had that feeling before, but I'm like, I'm in the right place. And so I kept going with it. And here we are, 10 years later. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
I feel like it is evolutions of yourself, though, as my husband loves to say in our own business that we do. It's the iteration. I'm like, how many more iterations are there forever? It's forever.
Keeps going and
I'm like,
going.
oh,
I think
man.
that's like a really important lesson for a lot of people. We think that we reach something and it's like the be all end all. And then it's like, well, now what?
Yeah.
Instead of letting it evolve.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to let it evolve, and it takes a lot of letting go to
Yes.
let the process happen. And I'm in my 2/3 the way done with my studies to become a licensed therapist. And one of the buzzwords at my school, Goddard College, is trust the process. So we trust
So
the process. I'm like,
beautiful.
but what's the process? You know what I mean? Sometimes we question it. Then what
It's
is
like
the
the
process?
Golden Bachelor. It's like
Yeah.
watching that. No, I can't trust that process. I'm
Oh, I
watching
still
it.
don't know who won.
I'm
So
not going to ruin
don't tell
anything
me
for you.
anything because I didn't really watch
But
it.
well, that's
Curious,
just a
though.
Bachelor Nation buzzword is trust the process. But sometimes you have to, and
Yeah.
that's the only way you can explain the unexplainable is just let it go.
Seriously. Yeah. Sometimes. And sometimes it's really challenging, in relationships or in, you know, even relationships with your parents or with children. Is sometimes just like let the process happen, let things unfold. It's so hard because we want to control everything.
So in all of her free time, she's putting herself back to school.
Yeah.
But when you find those like pieces of the whole that need to be filled with the breadth of education, it's like you can't talk the
Yeah.
talk without knowing
is
all of the facts.
Exactly. You're exactly right. And so what I found through yoga is that it's only, getting on your mat and practicing half an hour, 90 minutes, 3 hours, whatever it
Which,
is
by
that
the
you
way,
do.
kind of scares me a little bit. I don't know what it is about the yoga space that has eluded me my entire life. I don't know what it is. I don't know if I naturally do it anyway.
You
It's one
probably
of those
do.
things that I kind of just piece out of my brain and I just naturally do. And I don't know whether that was a military skill to survive or, well,
That's
it
a good one.
was,
Yeah.
but it was just one of those spaces where I will have the out of body experience or be like, oh, I was just meditating, but I've never formally done it. And I don't know what part of it scares me, or maybe I like it too much. I feel like sometimes it gets a little fanatical. It's a rush. You know what I mean? Like anything else, running, food, good this. It's one of those highs. I feel like a lot of people chase a little bit.
It's funny because there's a whole conversation about that in
Yeah.
the yoga world, about practicing and then you feel so incredibly amazing after, like you're chasing it like like an addict, like you're constantly chasing that high. But the beautiful thing is that you can create that and release those natural endorphins yourself.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Without anything on the external. So yeah, not a bad thing.
No.
No. But what you get used to it. So what eventually happens is that you become that.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way you feel after your first class, second class, 12th class, 100th class is hopefully the same. You're still feeling that incredible sense of peace and relaxation and calm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely need that. I don't,
Mhm.
that's why I'm talking to you about it. I'm like, I don't know
Yeah.
what about it is like frightened me. I don't know why.
Yeah. So I got when I first became interested in yoga, I was living in, where was I living? I was living in New Jersey. That was fun. Did that for a few years.
You're here.
I'm here.
You're here now.
I'm here on Cape Cod. It's nice and happy. No, I loved living there because it was so close to the city. And I worked in New York City one afternoon a week for a retired music executive who I didn't know who he was at the time, but he's now passed, but he was the
Characters.
Oh my God, he was amazing. Amazing person. And was in recovery. And like in 1999, 2000, we didn't talk about recovery. It's like talking about mental health. We just didn't back then. And one day he was leaving and I said, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm going to yoga. I'm like, what do you mean you're going to yoga? And he said, I'm going to yoga. It helps me with recovery. And I'm like, well, what's recovery? And he explained all of this. And he said, it helps with anxiety. Ding, 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 ding. So I have had a debilitating anxiety for most of my life.
You would never know this.
Yeah, because I practice yoga.
Good morning, Don, Dave. Thank you guys for checking me out. Check out Ken Calm for positive affirmations.
Well,
I will. I love Ken. He's my favorite.
Yay. I don't know,
So I
CanCom. We will check that out for sure.
debilitating.
Debilitating anxiety. And I went home and I went to the library and I got DVDs on yoga and practiced in my little apartment with my cats. And I felt like, okay, this is going to help me. And then I moved back to Massachusetts and in 2001, and I moved back in May of 2001. And so we all know what happened in September of 2001.
Crazy.
Crazy. So I had my yoga and I remembered there was a studio that opened in my hometown and I went and it was a hot we don't use this teacher's name anymore, but it's the 26-2 original hot yoga. His name was Bikram, but we don't use, there's a lot of controversy there. So we just,
I did one of those classes one time. I laid on the mat with my face down sweating.
Yes. So that's, yes.
And there was a guy in front of me with the teeny tiny little bikini on. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable here.
Well, it's 105 degrees, 40% humidity.
Yep.
And you're not supposed to leave the
I don't think
room,
that was a starter
water.
class for
It's
me.
It's not a starter. It's called
was...
a beginner series, but it's not. Like for a lot of people,
it's not
the first series. Yeah. So I started there and I remember there were two women in the front row that, the sign said yoga. I'm like, oh, cool. There's yoga.
Yeah.
Like, because I'd practiced.
I want to try this.
I want to try this in like a place and not do it at home. So I went to the place and there were two pregnant women. I swear they were 9 months pregnant in the front row. And they were doing these like incredible postures and they were my drive. And I'm in the back row because I'm brand new. So I'm not like footwear, like handwear, like where do I look? And I watched them and it just kind of, it sparked something within me. But the biggest thing was my mom said to me, she's like, something about you seems really calm. And I'm like, really? So there was something to it. Yoga just feels good. I like the hot room as we age. Changes a little
absolutely.
bit.
I mean, bones and
women,
everything.
Yeah, but it's hot. And I do like the heat of my studio isn't heated. It's not cold, but we don't heat it to that. We'll go to 80 tops and you can feel it for sure. But maybe it's usually in the 70s. We keep it in the 70s. Nice low humidity 70s.
Well, it's good to stretch in too. I mean,
really good. Yeah. Yeah. So that's how I found yoga was through, his name was Walter Yetnikoff. That's who it was. And then I just kept going with it and it really made a world of difference in my personal and then my professional life. I never thought I'd be doing now when I went to my first training. But my teachers were at the studio I was practicing at. There was a flyer for a training, and I asked one of my teachers, like, "What's yoga teacher training? Like, what is that?"
Yeah.
And I was a school teacher. My friend, she's like, "Do it." She's like, "You're already a teacher."
Yeah, you're a natural teacher already, so you've got that background.
She's like, "Do it. Take the training." And there was 12 women. I had two wonderful teachers, Abby and Sandra, and it was just incredible. And I kept unfolding, and then I kept taking trainings and trainings and trainings. And so I keep up with it. That's really important. And yoga is to keep up with the study, the self-study.
And there's so many avenues too you can go down.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure. Yes.
I had a friend of mine, Chrissy, who my husband used to work with, and she had an epiphany, cashed out her 401k, went to Costa Rica, and was gone for an entire year and mentored under a yogi and came back and is running her own studio. Like she was all in.
It's one of those things you do go all in. For sure.
Good morning, Lauren. We're talking to Michelle. She's the owner of Innerglow Studios in Mashpee.
Hello.
And also Love Yoga Fest, which we're going to get excited to talk about coming up in a little bit. But I thought it was just great to have this conversation on a Monday, get our bodies going, get our brains going, and talk about some other wellness practices that we can incorporate. I feel like this time of year, everyone gets crazy. And finding your center gets far and far and further away as we're reaching for it.
Yeah, we spiral
this
time of year. And so for a natural spiraler as well, it gets really challenging. I always say yoga is, a lot of people say yoga saved them. Yoga, we all have it. We all have the tools. We just get so far away from our natural state that we're like, especially this time of year. So it's bringing back the tools that we already have. It's recognizing what we already have within us.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Like the skills themselves aren't hard. I mean, putting your feet behind your head is, but you don't have to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? For some people, that's, and I'm only saying that. I don't know anyone who teaches that in my studio, number one, or in other studios around here, but um, the yoga physical practice has shifted a lot. There's so many
Yeah.
options for everyone in terms of class. And honestly, you come to a class, you don't have to keep up like a boot camp. You breathe at your own pace. You move at your own pace. It's not synchronized
Yeah.
yoga.
I just feel like I
You
need,
know?
as we age, a little bit more flexibility in my
Yeah.
life. I got to this point 6 weeks ago where I was doing something, and since I'm now pretty much sit all day long, I was reaching for something and I was like really struggling. And I said to myself, we're not doing this anymore. We're getting
Yeah.
back to moving our body.
Yeah. I know we get caught up, and especially the past few years where so many of us are working from home or we're back at desks and we're
Hmm.
not as mobile. It's definitely affecting our bodies and our minds. So when things get caught,
What would you say to be a jump in point? I feel like that's what a lot of
mm,
people have, this analysis paralysis. What if I, could I, and then this one, and then I don't know these people, and I'm not
yeah.
like, there's a whole
Oh, there's a
build up
whole build
to
up.
deciding you're going
Yeah.
to change something. It is very difficult. So if you're out there like, I really want to do it, but it's so daunting and it's stressing me out. Now I have anxiety thinking about doing it. Where's a good jump in point?
Oh, yeah. Anytime's a good jump in point. And so basically, the first thing is look at your day and what's a good time for you. If you could do a
Mm,
morning, come in the morning. If you could do, we have at the studio, we have 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 4:30, and 6 most days during the week. And then the weekends are um, 9, 9 and noon are yoga. And then at 10:30, we have Pilates and bar. So we do offer other things at the studio besides yoga. But within yoga, there's yin, there's restorative, there's gentle, there's vinyasa, there's um that might be all.
Well,
That might
but
be everything.
maybe that's what's like a little scary to
It
me,
is,
because
yeah.
I'm one of those, if I don't know it
Yes.
fully, I don't speak the language, I don't know.
So, yeah. So when we think of yoga, some people have in their minds like, well, I can't touch my toes. That's the most common thing I hear. I can't do yoga because I can't touch my toes. Well, guess what?
I've never heard that, but I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
it's my like favorite thing. Well, that's why you come to yoga so you can learn how to touch your toes. You know, there's certain things within flexibility that we all have naturally, but also that we have to work at.
Yeah.
So any class you go to, you'll gain flexibility, strength, balance, peace, calm, all of it. Every class starts with some kind of warm up. It might be standing, it might be seated, you might be lying down when you start. Those are my favorites.
Same.
Okay, yes, I'm ready for class.
I surrender. What are we doing?
Exactly. And then there's the movement part, like any, say, physical class that you might take. And then there's a restorative piece towards the end. And then we finish with a few minutes of relaxation. It's called Shavasana. And that's the fan favorite for
Yeah, that's
sure.
where I
My favorite
excel.
yeah, yeah. I train yoga teachers. They're like, I'll demo Shavasana.
Yeah, right.
Yes. Just lie down. That's all you have to do.
That's it.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah. So any class is set up that way. It's just the work of it in the middle, say the middle 45 minutes, 50 minutes is shifts. So it might become, if you think of it on an arc, some arcs are lower as far as energy and some are higher. So you
Okay.
might, but we're not talking about like aerobics. We're
Yeah,
talking
right,
yoga.
right.
So
You'd be surprised though. Some of that stretching, I'm just
it's
like,
a
oh my
lot.
God,
Oh
it's
my
a lot of
gosh.
work.
Yeah. But we also, if you think about, as for what we do as teachers, we teach you as people, we don't teach poses.
Hmm.
So everyone can do everything.
Hmm.
It's and that's what's right for you. So we don't force you. I say yoga police isn't here today. You can
Yep.
lie on your back the whole class.
I
That's
love
my
that.
line. Yeah.
Well, that's also a thing, we are
I
people
did the
that
same thing.
follow the
Yeah.
program.
Mhm.
So when you feel like you're out of step with the class,
Yes.
it makes you feel off and looked at.
So that's a really great point. When I was practicing, I think I had just become a teacher and I was practicing at a studio, and the class that I would take that fit into my schedule, I think was called intermediate. So I just think classes that have levels are BS because
That's fair.
anyone can do anything. It's the way you do it. It works for you. So I'm not talking about doing handstands and cartwheels. And that's gymnastics yoga, and there's time and place for it. But for daily practice, if that's what you seek and you want that strength for some reason to be able to do a handstand,
Yeah.
great, go for it. But for others, it might be that you want to find that peace throughout your day and gain tools so that you can calm. I was part of both worlds. Like I have to do my handstand, but
that's a personal goal.
It's a personal goal.
It's not
there's no
just
expectation from the teacher.
Right.
No, and if there is, then you're in the wrong class.
Good morning, Sandy, Erica, Sue, Carrie. Thank you so much for joining us. We're talking to Michelle, owner of Innerglow Yoga in Mashpee Commons. And we were just talking about basically where to jump in if you've never done any yoga, or maybe it seemed a little too scary. Because I was just saying, it's always eluded me, and I don't know whether it's because I don't speak the language, or if it's more of for me, I'm an object in motion stays in motion. It's almost fearful for me to shut it down, because I'm like, oh, it's going to take so much work to get my gears going again. Honestly, it really is the way my brain works sometimes. So that it's a scary space for me. I know I have to embrace it.
Space. Yeah.
I need to, or else I'm just going to die.
So for some reason, I was never a team sports person. I was on pom-poms. I was captain. I have to announce that because it was really this pivotal point in my senior year in high school. Yeah. Yay, Framingham North. Yeah. So still have the uniform. My mom threw out my pom-poms. I was devastated. Still my jacket with my letter, all these. It's a big, big claim to fame. So that was the only team sport I did, but I tried.
High school moment. Leave her be.
Big moment. Thank you. Thank you. In 1986. So I tried lacrosse. I love lacrosse. I went to the first day of practice and I was like, they're so loud. Why are they yelling? I'm not a team
It's
sport
aggressive.
person.
What's
it
up,
was
Mark?
doing. I'm like, no. Even now, if I wanted to do the roller derby, yeah. And then I watched some videos.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're so mean. I'd be like, oh, excuse me.
I would excel. I love that. Yeah. It's aggression. Get it. Let me in it.
You're like, oh, you want to go? You go. Okay, you go ahead of me. I'll just stay right here.
They made me fight men. I'm in. I'll take care of us, Michelle.
But what I found was, I never thought I was competitive.
Too funny.
Until, So, we'll be in roller derby.
Right?
Stephanie will be out there.
I'll punch them and then you can just skate on in for the win, okay?
Yeah. Thank you. Open the gates. I'm just going to
team sport. Thank you.
That I can handle. Yeah. And I'll have my pom-poms and everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I found through yoga. I found through yoga that I became competitive with myself.
Yep.
And it was the same with running. I trained to run and run up certain hills. And when I accomplished those,
because it's your mile marker.
It was me. And I never knew I had that within me. So I do that. I did that with yoga. And when I hit certain markers, like being able to balance on my hands or being able to sustain a posture for a period of time or whatever it was, it's never about what is going out. It's all about what's coming in for me and how I embraced it. So it affected every part of my life. I never thought I would be able to I taught at an event at Gillette Stadium. Called Yoga Reaches Out. And it was in when did I teach? In 22, last year. It's every year. It's the 11 years that they've been around.
And that's it's a big crowds.
It's 1,000 people. And it's nonprofit that was eventually taken over by Boston Children's and my good friend, Sarah Gardner. If you're listening, hi, yay, plug for Yoga Reaches Out. It's all for Boston Children's Hospital. So I was asked, I've been part of that since it started as a volunteer and I've always had a team. And then I was asked to teach and I'm like, oh my God. These are like, what do they call it? Like a bucket list for yoga teachers.
Yeah.
There's like two things that I've wanted. And there's one I'm still seeking, but the other one was to teach at this. And I taught and it was outside on the field. So imagining like the field at Gillette and
so nice.
All these yogis. It was so cool. That was one of my things like, wow, okay. So all of this information that I have now as a teacher, I can share because I had been teaching for a long time when I was asked. So that was a pretty pivotal thing. But again, that was working towards something, that was that competition within myself.
Yep.
and it's yoga. And it doesn't have to be that way for everybody, but I found that's how I really embraced it. Being a business owner, I also think that no matter what you own a store, you own a gym, you own a roller derby, you whatever it is, you own it. Like, you need to know every single piece of what you're promoting. So I took it upon myself to be as educated. I've thousands of hours of
Yeah.
formal training. My teacher's in India. I just finished, I think, my 3rd year working with him, and it's 1,000 hours. I finished 1,000 hours, and now I'm on to
Because you're the
more.
guide. You're the person that people are going to for answers, and you want to have
Yeah.
them and you want to understand
And
how to have them.
yeah, and all of my teachers are the same. All of the teachers are educated. I have a certain, I don't wanna say a threshold or certain they have to hold certain credentials to do
Mhm.
anything. For me, I'm the one that gets the credentials.
Yep.
Like, as the owner, I have I've studied here, I've studied there with this teacher, with that teacher, like
It's all
hitting
good.
microphones. Um, and understanding and knowing more. So my deep dive is now in Ayurveda, which is the science of yoga. But that's where my worlds of food and yoga combined,
Yeah.
and, like, literal for me crashed. I was like, "Boom. Wait, really?" Like, I stopped cooking for a bit. I went to culinary school, and I cooked, and I taught cooking and all of that, and because of a relationship I was in, I was cooking everything vegan, and the person I was with, not currently, so I don't want anyone to think about that, but just, this is, like,
Mind your
years
business.
ago. Yeah, mind
We're
your business.
talking about
This is
food.
years ago, yeah, exactly. I remember I made this cornbread, and it was vegan and gluten-free, and he took a bite, and then I went in my kitchen, I saw it just sitting on the counter, and it broke my heart. So it, like, turned me off from cooking. I'm like, "I'm not doing this anymore." But I will say that the more I studied yoga, I gained confidence back.
Mhm.
And then I was like, "F that." You know?
Right.
I know it tastes good. People who I make food for like it, so that was just him, but it's amazing how we're affected by that.
Yeah.
So I took this deep dive, and I
Well, it's
was on a
rejection.
it's
It's I
rejection. Oh,
mean,
it's big,
honestly, when it
yeah.
comes down to it, it's rejection. It's
Yeah.
difficult to take
And
sometimes.
that was a whole
And you
period in my
can't please
life.
everybody all the time.
Exactly.
And sometimes as moms and women, we are people pleasers.
Yeah, but one of the deeper levels of what I found is through my yoga practices, I didn't have that strength to step out of this relationship, and
Yeah.
then I did, and I thought, "Wow, it's like you do one thing, you could do everything,"
Well,
kind
that's a
of.
great conversation to
Yeah,
have
mhm.
because it's a mental muscle.
It is for
You
sure.
know,
Yeah,
it's a different way of thinking. That's why I feel like yoga is also that mental muscle that
mhm.
you're flexing
Yeah,
and
yeah.
growing, that it's not just your physicality of everything. It's like really that
It's
growth here.
as you're strengthening your body, you're for sure strengthening your
Yeah.
mind. Yeah, and your mindset starts to shift, and again, back to those, like, maybe more challenging postures that some people do.
Mhm.
Um Is trying them out, like, and when you do something if it feels right or not, and I'm not talking about, like, you break something, because please don't break anything in yoga.
Ah.
We're well insured, but please don't. But trying something, and then you'll be surprised at, like, what you can do,
Yep.
I've never had anyone leave the studio, knock on
I
a
know, right?
desk,
Don't
uh,
open that.
less happy than when they walked in,
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, there's people who are like, "Well, I like the class, but, it wasn't my regular teacher." And so there's all that stuff too, and that's a whole other subject, but and that has validity, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, people walk in, you might be stressed out, stuck at the Rotary in Mashpee because
Yeah,
they
your
haven't
whole
the
outside life.
construction on 151, like, trying to get to the studio is a feat within
Yep.
itself in the summer, right,
Mhm.
around here. So, people get to the
Even now.
studio. I know, it's so bad. Like, "What
We're
happened?"
just gonna cut this road off. Sorry.
I know,
We'll figure it
seriously.
out.
Just go there. Yeah. It's a one way. I don't care. Just drive.
Welcome
So,
to Cape
yeah,
Cod in the
in the
in the
winter.
fall and
I
winter.
know. It's crazy. Um, yeah, so people come with all this stuff, right? And then maybe something happened beforehand. They had a phone call. It happens all the time. And then they come to practice and they leave like, "I'm so glad I came to class."
Yeah. I mean,
So
really,
to answer
once
that for
once
you,
you
that
leave
big
there, it's great,
yeah,
but it's
once you
the
leave,
workup to get
it's
in
the
there.
work up to get there. Yeah, and that has to do with so much. That's a whole, like,
Peel the Band-Aid and
peel,
take a
yeah.
class.
Yeah, and come for free. So just say you heard it here.
Please
Come in.
do.
Yep, and if you're listening and you've been to the studio, you get a free class too. because that makes me so happy that you're here and listening.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to come and take a class because I just need to just get in there, get in the practice
You
of
get
being in
more than a
there.
class. You can have two.
Thank you. So she's plant-based, she's
Mhm.
back to school. We're, offering classes to everyone. Um, but also you've got some really cool things that are happening in the studio right now that are just not your regular class. You've
Yeah.
got an evening with spirit coming up,
Mhm.
which we've got mutual friends in common,
Yep.
and also some grief
Yeah.
groups, which I
Yeah.
think is so important. I feel like we're talking about the whole aspect of wellness. And hi, Cindy. Did you say
Yes,
free?
we said
Yes,
free,
Cindy.
Cindy. Yes, come on
Do you
down.
want to go take a class with me? I will take a class with you. If I'll
Yay.
take it, she says.
Yeah. Part of this is all about sharing and being in the community. And I have to just plug that since the enterprise has been doing their best of, we've won number one yoga studio
Woo woo.
out of the 5 years. We've won number one, number two, and then I was not having. So number one, just
Guys, we're not
saying.
going down. We
It's a
get the
huge
number one
yeah,
forever.
but it's okay because we're in such great company with other studios.
Yeah.
And I do want to also say that yoga is all about community, and that'll lead into the Love Yoga Fest
Yes.
conversation in a bit, but we're all friends. People are always so surprised with like, aren't you in competition with the other studios? I'm like, no. Go practice in Falmouth if that's where you live. Like, go take a class. I know them.
If
They're
it's
wonderful.
convenient to
It's
get you
convenient. Just
in.
get to yoga. Like
Mhm.
it's, if it's on, we have virtual classes too. So if that's easier for you, sign up for a virtual. There's just go practice.
Lauren,
I'll,
yes, you're in the group. Me, you, and
yay.
Cindy are gonna go. We're gonna take a
Come
class.
on down. Yeah. Yeah, it's about the practice. I belong to other studios. I have class cards at other studios on the Cape. I think it's
Yeah.
really important to support each other and also to be to get my own practice. And sometimes for me, like if some of you might know this, if you have your own business and you're in your business, if you own a store, you're worried about everything else
All the time.
But if you go shopping in someone else's store, you have the best time. It's the same thing in yoga. Like sometimes I just can't relax. I'll hear a noise like, what's that? Who's that? Who's at the door? Why is the phone ringing?
Yeah, it's your own space.
The light's too bright. There's a dust ball under there, and then my brain starts going. And so if I go into someone else's studio, I don't care.
Yeah, right.
Just let it go. Yeah.
I've got a lot of great friends that are yogis, and I just really appreciate their energy no matter where it is. But they are definitely different people in their house, in their space.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
It's funny that you had mentioned that.
Yeah. And I have people, one of my girlfriends stopped by yesterday and I kind of spaced because I was running a training this weekend and then I left and I just missed her, but I needed to go.
Yeah.
Like I needed to go. And I felt so bad, but people stop by all the time and then want me to just sit and talk. And I love that more than anything.
Yeah.
But I'm also working. So
Yeah.
I hope that just didn't make anyone sad. But
No, I mean,
didn't
that's
mean to
part
do
of
that at
running
all.
a business.
But I can meet anyone at Starbucks. Like I'm happy to step out of the studio.
We'll
I will
walk.
go
Let's
for Cape
go.
Cod coffee. Of course, we'll go local. Yep.
Perfect.
Go right over to Cape Cod coffee and have a snack. Happy to do that anytime with anybody. It's really hard. We can meet at the studio. And
Do they
at
have
least
snacks for you? Oh,
They
they
have
do.
snacks for
Yep,
me.
right. Salad and fries.
Salad and fries. When in doubt,
Kidding.
salad and fries, friends.
I love
Yep.
that.
Yep, salad and fries.
Well, at least I could offer that little bit of wisdom to our wannabe vegans and vegetarians. These are your choices.
Yeah.
And when in doubt.
Oh yeah, we might have to do another show on that, like how to dive in. Just
I
go
feel like
slow, go slow. You just
Yeah, that's another thing on there. So, like, yeah, my body is not a yoga body. We've already talked about this. And yes, maybe going slow into less meat in our lives. So
everybody is a yoga body.
thank you.
Everybody. Everyone can do yoga. If you can do this, if you can do this. My nephew used to go, is this yoga? Is this yoga? And then he would do all these like arm things. I'm like, yes, any way you move your body is yoga.
Well, that's why I wanted to have you on for this conversation because it's just good to all of the things that I've heard over the years of collection and stuff rattling around in my brain still.
Yeah.
To dispel that. So let's talk about Love Yoga Fest because this has had a lot of evolutions.
It's had a lot of evolutions.
And I'm pumped for this year because you're taking all of this community and all of your friends and all
Yeah.
of the other people from afar as well.
Yeah.
Thousands of people are coming to this retreat.
Yes. So we're having a little thing. Keep this in mind as I'm talking about this, that we'll give away a day pass. Ooh.
Right? That's exciting.
But what will that be? You ask. So Love Yoga Fest started in 2014 through the wonderful ladies of Live Love Local. And they had it for a few years. There were 4 women who ran it, and one of them took over for a few years and it moved it to Seacrest. It was in Hyannis outside of Asden Park. It was really cool in the summer, these big tents, everyone practicing yoga, marketplace. If you've been to Live Love Local,
Yep.
anyway, their
Yeah, they just had their big
markets, and
winter
they're one over
market.
yeah, and
Mhm.
it's just so much fun. So picture that, and then yoga all over the field. It's so cool. So that was for a few years, and then it moved to Seacrest Beach Hotel in Falmouth, and then we had this thing happen in 2020. I think we're all in a blur still
Yeah,
about
right.
that. So past few years, it's been kind of a little bit of a blur. And then I took over last June, and we did a couple of events at Innerglow. Um, and then we're having the first one back at Seacrest. And in the past,
Yay.
it's been a 3-day event, and I just cannot handle a 3-day
Yeah.
event. So one day, and what does this event entail? You might be asking.
Yes.
So you have a choice of up to 12 classes through the day. So we have 3 rooms with 4 classes happening in each room throughout the day. They're 90-minute classes. There's an intro to power yoga, which is more of like an intro to yoga with Jill Abraham, who owns Power Yoga in Harwich. Sherry Anna Boyle is a local celebrity and author. She's presenting energy work. Lauren Turner is based out of Framingham, and she has an organization called Warrior Within. It's yoga for the military. So we're connecting her with
Awesome.
heroes in transition. There's sound healing. There's so many things to do
Yeah.
this day, and we'll have a vibrant lunches or breakfast and lunch, just so you know. Seacrest is a really high food budget.
They're
So we're like,
awesome.
okay, food. We love food.
Yep.
So breakfast buffet, it'll be all wonderful things. And then lunch, your choice of a box lunch.
Shout
So
out to Jennifer Murphy over there
I know,
working hard at the
yay, hi,
Seacrest. You're the
Jen, yay.
best.
So food's included. And there's a marketplace with like-minded businesses and studios. So you can learn more about, it's not just
Yeah.
Cape. And this isn't just me representing from Innerglow. This is collaboration of the yoga community.
Mhm.
So all studios are welcome. Everybody's welcome to this. You could stop by. We might be doing some drop-ins, but are giving away a day pass, and the value is $199. But you have access to all classes, to the marketplace, the food, a swag bag, all the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going to be really fun. It's 8:30 to or 8 to 5:30 actually.
Is there still time for somebody that might be watching that has a studio to be involved in it?
Yes, please.
Vendors.
So we're still looking for vendors. We have everything from jewelry to clothing to pottery to I'll just call them tchotchkes to
Yeah, right.
anything you want to sell or promote, you can do it, and it's all welcome. Again, so this is not Innerglow sponsoring this. This is
Yep.
Love Yoga Fest, but I have to differentiate that because people think that it's just an Innerglow event, and it's not. It's a Love Yoga Fest event. And the bigger thing with this is that it's not just getting community together, it's to support the community. So every event we have, 10% of proceeds go to a local nonprofit. And we've partnered with Wellstrong.
Mhm.
So if you're not familiar with Wellstrong, it's a center for people in recovery, and that's in Falmouth. And they do incredible work.
Yeah.
I mean, incredible. The founder was formerly with Gosnold, also does incredible work in recovery. And so she founded it. There's been a few different directors since then. They just do amazing things. And as any other nonprofit, always need support.
Right.
So community support is the best way to do it. So 10%, my goal, pledging to donate $5,000 to them.
Amazing.
And it's through all of you. So sponsorship levels are available, anything from $250 to $10,000. That'll be available on the Love Yoga Fest website this week. perks include on the higher level hotel stays at Seacrest, so you could make a retreat out of it. So we're calling it a January retreat, a New Year's retreat by the sea.
But I
Because
like it. I feel like
yeah,
January is also a contemplative time for everybody
yeah.
changing your regular. All right, what am I going to do differently
So
for this upcoming year?
yeah, and there's something called a New Year's resolution, and like honestly, how many resolutions have
I
we ever
know.
set that we don't keep? So they're more about intentions. And in yoga, we call it something else. We don't make resolutions. We do set intentions for the year. And that way it takes sort of the pressure off a little
Yeah.
bit. But the retreat is January 20th. So after the holidays, after you get through New Year's, you kind of
Yeah.
getting into your groove for the new year. Like, oh, cool. Nothing's going on in January and February around here. So come to yoga.
It
Yay.
is a good time. And
It's
I
a really
find it
good
a
time.
contemplative time, especially the
It's a
entire
great
month to
word.
just
Yeah.
really, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What
And
do I like? What do I don't like? What am I leaving off?
yeah. And I was just introduced to a book. It's The Last Quarter. I think it's called The Last Quarter. It's the last. So if you look at the year in terms of quarters,
Yep.
like what can you accomplish within those few months? So I was at a retreat in September and another presenter, Natanya Ruth Silverman. She's Feel Free Institute. She's based out of Plymouth and she's teaching at Love Yoga Fest as well. She's a really good friend. And I was on a retreat with her and she was telling us about this book and what do we want to accomplish in this last part of the year. That puts so much pressure on my brain. I can't even explain it.
You're like,
But
oh my God.
like, I
more?"
didn't do this. I didn't do that, But if we look at the beginning of the year,
Yep.
being a contemplative time, what are the goals that we want for our lives? It doesn't have to be necessarily within the year or within those 3 months, but it's a nice time frame to think like, okay, not to lose weight, not to do any of that stuff, because anyone who has those goals will have the same goals every year. I'm
Yeah.
just going to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So it's about shifting your mindset and perspective of what are the things I want to do that are really great for me.
Yeah.
So maybe it's practicing yoga.
And it's taken me a long time to finally have this conversation where it's
Oh.
just like we're making incremental changes.
Yeah.
We're making small shifts in the way we're doing things. It's not going to, because I'm an extreme all or nothing
Well, I was
person.
going to just, yeah.
So
Yeah,
this is a
yeah.
big thing for me
Yeah.
to be able to do this.
So
Finally.
But we do that. We look at everything as big. Like, I mean, I'll do that sometimes too. I'm training for the Boston Marathon and I'm like, that's big. Just
Yeah.
so you
Oh,
know,
that's
that's
huge.
a long race.
Which is also on my list of things I would like to accomplish at some point in my life.
Yeah, I'm gonna be 55 in January. These are goals. That is a goal for me. So I'm in training right now and I've run a marathon before, yes. So if anyone's out there thinking like, this is what you should do, and if you run a marathon, but yes, I ran San Francisco, but
We can do this.
10 years later, no, it's longer. I ran in 2010. Yeah, so it'll be 14 years that I ran a marathon. And like I was a support runner for
brave.
Rock, but I'm slow. I'm just sharing that. But what I shifted and
You're
what
going to be a
Nicole
support
helped me
runner
with,
this year because my team needs
Yeah.
it.
and I'm
I
slow.
claim her.
I just go. Yeah, and I have like endurance most of the time if I'm well trained, but it's not about how fast I'm going. I think in Ruck we have to stick with a 10-minute mile,
Yeah,
because we don't want to be
Like,
one
guys,
of those teams. But
tag, go ahead. Just go
Exactly.
let the other person go. I've committed my
Exactly.
time. I'm still here rolling around. Don't worry about
it's so
it.
much fun. So if you're not familiar, it's
But I like that.
yeah,
It's
the
not
Ruck
the
race.
time. It's not the time commitment. It's
Yeah.
I start a dialogue with myself. We all know I talk to myself a month prior to actually employing anything.
Gosh, yeah. But we
Like,
can talk ourselves out of it so easily.
100%. But she's been good lately and we've been talking ourselves into things, but it's a slow roll to get me to go, okay, that shift is very difficult.
Yeah. So yesterday was funny. I was at the studio and I was finishing up a training and then next door to the studio and then class was starting. So I opened the door and I see people coming, hi, how are you? And I'm getting hugs and then someone brought a friend and I'm like, this is what we do every day. We just hug and say, hi, how are you? Go practice yoga. My life is great. And it was really funny. I thought about it.
That was all it was.
But it kind of is though.
Yes.
So I want to just throw that out there. If you come to Love Yoga Fest, you come to the studio, you come to anything, the events, we'll get back to that too, actually, about the
before we go.
16th. Yeah. That you're always greeted with a smile. And if
Yeah.
you're not, call me. 'Cause I'll be very upset.
Michelle,
But
I was not greeted with a smile today. I don't know
um
what the problem is.
yeah, somebody was rude. Yeah, and like that should not happen in the yoga studio.
I couldn't
We are
imagine getting that
yeah,
call, but then again, this year has just shown me we get those calls.
exactly. And we're
I was
always
promised
like
a good
this.
time.
Yeah, I've had people come in cranky
Sorry.
and we just nice them. We just nice them.
That's it.
People come in cranky all the time. I
We
get
nice
cranky
them.
sometimes. We just nice. Like it's okay. We'll
It's
take care.
wonderful
What do you
you're
need?
here.
And I'm not being condescending. Just so
No,
you
it's
know, I'm being
it's
like absolutely true.
but
Like,
that's,
just come in.
part of your job. It's the aura.
It
That's
is,
what
yeah.
people are seeking when they come to you.
But that's how we
is
feel.
serenity.
Yeah, serenity now.
Like,
Yeah. So I'm doing my internship at Falmouth High School. Yay!
oh,
Falmouth,
that's
pathways
awesome.
and VIPs. Yay!
I love it.
So I'm even wearing my burgundy today. Sorry, I mean I wear a mashpee and all, but I'm
It's
working at
okay.
Falmouth High.
My
Yeah.
husband's Falmouth kid.
All right.
Born and raised. I married a townie. I'm 1 mile from the border. It's on my run route.
I love it. What was I going to say about that?
Oh, we were just talking about serenity, and you're doing your.
We have a sign in the room. So Tracy Andrade, if you're listening, this is about the sign. So it says Serenity Now, and then there's when Tracy's not there, she's the director of this whole thing. It's incredible work that they do there. My wonderful friends. But there's somebody who works for the school and he'll come in and hang up the Serenity Now sign. It's
now.
the funniest thing. Yeah.
Need it.
And I'm like, yeah, it's good. So we need those signs everywhere. Remember that, visualize that, imprint that on your brain. Serenity Now. Like anytime you're at Stop and Shop or you're at when the self-checker does not recognize your code.
Take your inner George Costanza and put him aside.
Exactly.
Take him out.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. So in December, so it's a busy time at the studio. We have gift certificates for sale. We have class card specials right now.
Well, this is a nice thing.
Specials.
I know we're not talking a gym membership here. We're talking about give a class, or maybe we're going to make a class, because I've made this distinction even in my own household that we're giving experiences. We're doing experiences.
Yeah.
We're doing things together. We're going on trips. We're doing wellness, whatever's. We're going to try this.
Yeah.
And I think that that's awesome. That's a great gift to give somebody, is maybe a ticket to this fabulous day of wellness, this retreat.
Yep. So, yep, absolutely. So Love Yoga Fest will be doing gift certificates. Reach out to me. My info's on anywhere.
Yeah, right. I will share it with you. We'll drop it in all of the chats to make sure you can
if you're
get
interested in getting a gift certificate for Love Yoga Fest, we are doing a special.
Okay.
So it's usually $199. The ticket would be $149. So I'd spend $150 to go for a whole day.
That's a nice dinner.
Of, like,
I
all
mean, now
these
you got dinner, lunch, classes,
and taking 2 meals, yoga classes. There's raffles and all kinds of stuff going on throughout the day, but just for a whole day of wellness and to be in community with my friends, like, yeah, I definitely spend that.
Yeah.
The ticket, just so you know, the tickets used to be $249, and I thought that was a little too expensive. We kind of like we regrouped a lot of stuff over the past few weeks, so the price has been dropped to $199, but we're having a special for $149. If you're interested in joining as a vendor, as a sponsor, because sponsorship helps us give more money.
Yeah.
To Wellstrong, and help us run things. You can sponsor the marketplace. Cape Cod Life is our in-kind sponsor, and they're in charge of the marketplace as well, but sponsors for anything. And then any studios, if you're listening, we'd love to have representation for studios on and off Cape.
I love it.
Yeah. And then the studio on the 16th, we have Yoga for Grief. I want to hit on that for a second. It's a workshop I run with another teacher, Sue Anderson.
What much needed.
Yeah. It's the tools of yoga and applying it to grief. So I'm going to rewind back to when I was 24, a few years ago.
Last week.
And I lost, exactly, right? And I lost someone really close to me to suicide. And it's 30 years. In August, it was 30 years. But when that happened, I was like, wait, what? And my curiosity peaked. I became a seeker, and I was always a seeker, but that started my path in all of this. I became like I said, I became vegetarian. I was curious about that. But when he passed, I was really confused.
It's a shock.
And sad and shocked. And So I'm running Boston for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It just seemed like a natural fit for awareness.
Mhm.
And back to yoga, my friend and I are doing this workshop because I've lived with that grief and it was debilitating
Mhm.
for years and it kept me from doing a lot of the things. But yoga is what really helped me get out of that. And it was understanding that I'm in control of my life. I wasn't in control of his choices or anything that he did. And I don't need to understand why. It's just I need to understand myself better
Mhm.
and be at peace with it. And like, okay, that was something that he did. He didn't do it to me. And we go through these stages.
Yeah. What
And in
could
the
I,
stages,
should have?
yes, oh, big time. And the guilt and
It's a
my
lot.
anxiety got really bad
Mhm.
because I thought I was a horrible person, that I couldn't have stopped this. And there's so many things we could go into that for hours. But what I found is that teaching this workshop with the focus on grief helps relieve. It changes your mindset a little bit.
Yeah.
So through breath work, journaling, gentle movement, of course, and being in community and being with people who are like-minded and just sharing. And whatever that grief is, we've had people come who have ended relationships. It wasn't a death or
Yeah.
lost a pet. The stages of grief are shared amongst every aspect of our lives. We go through those same emotions. We
Yeah.
feel the same. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's extremes, of course.
Yeah.
And there's and
I
but
experienced one of those this year, and it was
yeah.
it was absolutely devastating, and we had 2 suicides in a month. And I was just coming back from dealing with one situation. I had to go DJ the dance marathon. And I'm watching all these beautiful dancers doing, interpretive dance, and
Yeah.
I'm bawling my eyes out.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where I was like, these mothers probably think I'm insane doing this. But it was just that total release of all of that feeling. And that helped me in that
Yes.
moment. I didn't suggest that. I wouldn't suggest that as a release. But I mean, it's stored and you don't even feel like you're feeling
Yeah.
it. So I mean, I really do suggest that you even step into something like this to kind of see
Yeah,
where you're at with things sometimes.
for
You don't
sure.
notice it until it's so overwhelming, and you don't have to let it get so overwhelming.
Yeah.
I think it's important to it's a tool.
It's a tool, and a regular yoga practice helps keep us open so that our emotions don't get stored in the
Yeah.
body. And since we've been a little bit, I think we're getting better at the mobility piece since we were stuck at home, in the
Yeah.
pandemic, and we're all like, get me out of the house. I need to move. But because of that, and a lot of us are working from home, that we're rounded, we're holding stress in our shoulders, our necks, our hips, and other parts of the body too, like your pinky toe. Like you might even not know it, but it could be
Like it's
there.
got a crick. I
But
know it.
yeah,
It's grief,
yeah.
stress.
But our emotions get stored in the body, and so when we're stagnant, it gets worse and worse. So when you are dealing with something, some kind of a loss, it's so overwhelming.
Mm.
But if you have that consistent, even getting up, there's little things you can do in your day. Just do some, little move. That hurts actually. That move your head from side to side. It'll get better in a second. It's like how I slept. Rotate your wrists, rotate your ankles, roll your shoulders, do figure eights with your hips. There's so many things you can do. If you work through all of your joints within a day, that's yoga. Just saying. It doesn't have to
Surprise,
be
you're
like
doing
warrior
it.
one. I didn't do my bridge pose today. Like I didn't get my practice in. No, it's like this is your yoga. Like if that's what you do in a day, and it could be 5, 10, 20. In Ayurveda, the science of yoga, Ayurvedic practitioners say that if you go see them, you only see them once because they identify what's going on and they
The
treat
problem.
wellness. Yeah. And the give you a path to live. Um, and a prescription basically of how to live according to your body type or your dosha. And doctors will say, take this pill, right? So when you're taking that pill, you're not handling everything, you're not managing all of
Right.
it. But if you're taking the prescription of wellness, you're moving your body, you're eating. You don't have to be vegan. I want to be really clear about that. It's not for everybody,
Yeah.
but eat mindfully and choose foods that aren't processed. If you eat meat, maybe even raise your own chickens. I don't know if I could do that and kill the chicken and
We
eat
didn't
it.
we didn't kill the
I don't
chickens.
think I could do that.
There wasn't enough meat on them.
Yeah,
I,
well,
I-
there's that too. Yeah.
that was a funny thing when we were raising chickens. As my husband's like, I don't think that would even feed us. It's like, that's off. Their eggs are worth more.
Oh my gosh.
It's like we couldn't do it.
Seriously.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, or like any kind of animal, like I don't know. I'm just not a meat eater, so it's hard for me to even say that. But for people who eat meat, you don't have to raise it yourself. But buy, free range, buy organic, buy. There's so much stuff, especially on the
Yeah,
Cape. We have a lot of stuff in our
we
land
do.
and water, and
We use Walden Meat Services, and I appreciate it.
yeah,
It's all farms from New England.
I have a
So
friend who
it's like a
gets
farm
that. They
share. And
do
I
really
really,
well,
yeah, I really like
really
it.
good job with
And
that.
I feel better about not feeding my kids a bunch of hormones. I feel better about it. Whether it's real or not, it's in my brain. Allow it.
Yeah, exactly,
It's one good
exactly.
thing I'm doing for them. Okay.
Yeah,
And my son is a giant. So I don't know whether that's
I was
hormones or
gonna
what.
say, yeah, he's pretty tall.
I'm
Yeah,
working on it. He's eating me out of house and home. That's a whole
yeah.
nother
So if you're
conversation.
interested in the food side, I do private consultations with that too. So if
It's the whole thing,
it's
right? It's your
everything,
whole
it's the whole
package. We're trying
package.
to do
Yeah.
better, right?
We're
We're being here.
yeah, we're trying to live more mindful and careful lives, and it becomes habit after a while. I think I went to the market last night and I was looking and like even just buying crackers. Like sometimes I'll make crackers, but sometimes I don't have time to make crackers.
Right.
It's a thing. You can make crackers. It's really easy actually. um, but I was looking at like wheat thins. Oh, who doesn't love a wheat thin, right?
Right.
And then I bought the like Nature's Promise version because I just feel better eating
Right.
food like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. Um, but if you want to learn how to make crackers, we can make them in my
I
cooking
like that workshop.
classes. Yeah,
I'm a fan
homemade
of that.
crackers. Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, it's just a snacky
Mhm.
staple. I think it's great.
Yeah. I'm releasing that cooking schedule for classes. I was teaching through Mashpee Rec. It might be through the Falmouth Community School. We're looking at some dates for classes and in the old home ec kitchens, if you will.
I love it.
Or
Good
family
workshops.
consumer science, it's called now.
Perfect.
And we'll be doing eating for the season in March. Nourish Your Inner Glow is the cooking side of Innerglow. And so Nourish Your Inner Glow will be a workshop that I'll talk about the season and the foods of the
Well,
season.
you're just going to have to keep coming
And
back
then
because
I
I do
know
like
it's
chatting
so
with
fun.
you.
And then yoga, of course, Kirsten Vanderbilt, who's incredible teacher. She teaches the yoga. I do the food, and that's coming in March. So stay tuned for that too.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love Yoga Fest. Grab your tickets now. Michelle, let everyone know how to get a hold of you. And then come take a class with me. We're going. We're going to Innerglow.
Go with her. Yeah. I'll meet you there.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
What's your website?
Okay. So start with the studio, Innerglow Yoga, CapeCod.com. And our school. So if you're interested in taking continuing education or learning more about yoga through a student and teacher training, next one starts in March. That's CapeCodYogaSchool.com. And Cape Cod Yoga School, there's a tab on the Innerglow page. So
Okay,
just
perfect.
go to Innerglow, you can find everything. Love Yoga Fest, we're adding a tab. It's not there yet, but loveyogafest.com for all the festival information.
January 20th at the
January
Seacrest.
20th.
Grab your tickets because they're on sale right now.
Yeah, they're after this are I think going pretty fast, especially having a sale. The sale's not on there yet, so reach out to me and we'll have the discount code worked on this week.
Perfect.
It takes me a little time to get things done. But
well, you're not doing
done.
anything with your time or anything. God, Michelle.
Yeah.
I'm excited for all of the things that we're going to be doing with Innerglow Yoga. Make sure you find Michelle and you can give them a call, 508-477-9642. It's yoga.
If you forget the number, it's 477 yoga, like literally.
Everybody have a great day. I will see you in a class. Michelle, you are coming back. You better at any rate. And everyone else, have a great, wonderful day. Don't forget a couple of programming notes. We are out tonight. You want to flex your brain muscle. We've got some trivia for you over at Dino's, 6 until 8. We are in 151 in Mashpee. Our Christmas markets, I hope the weather is going to be with us this weekend. We have been having a great time, including the goat yoga goats that we played the nutcracker over, gave them some tutus. It was absolutely a sight to see.
That's great.
So we had a good time with that. We've got another performance coming up on the 17th. So make a note and hang out with us here on Lemonadio. We appreciate you. Michelle, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.